Welcome to Finding the Fire. The fire inside is what drives us. Left unattended, it can burn out of control. In Finding the Fire, Cyndee Jacobson speaks with guests, telling stories of trauma and triumph. In sharing our experiences, we find connection and understanding. Join her now as we burn through the walls of separation. Get ready for Finding the Fire, and let's find your spark.
Hello. We're back today with special guest Sarah McAllister, and we are talking all things, whatever's going on right now in the universe, because I don't know what's going on. I don't know if you know what's going on. If you do, please share. But I just want to know what's going on in people's lives out there right now. It's so different. We are told to stay home except for vital purposes. So right now our podcast is being filmed in our own locations separately. We love the podcast studio. It's amazing. But we're doing things a little bit differently right now in all of life. So Sarah, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So I just want to ask you a little bit, like, what is your life like today versus last month at this time? Like, what are you doing differently?
Obviously, we're all going through so many changes, and I guess the biggest one for me has just been slowing down, taking more time to reflect. I do a lot of spiritual work anyways, but one thing that until around the last 6 or 8 months has always been difficult for me was that slowdown, not around a ton of people, not spending time and hugging and really connecting with people in the way that I'm used to. So that has been the biggest change, but that's also been a gift because that leaves room for spending more time doing things like gardening or enjoying outside time without really continuously having the thought of the next thing that I have to rush and go do. So it's been different.
I love that you said that, like the slowdown, and that we can't, first of all, that we can't connect and hug, because I'm like you, I'm a hugger. When I feel somebody's heart and I see them, I'm like, how are you? I miss you. I want to give you a hug. But the forced slowdown, and that's something like I've been saying for a long time. And Cammie, I call her out on this all the time. But
I'm the worst. I feel you.
Yeah, I can imagine, Cammie.
Yes. But like the forced slowdown, I think is actually a blessing in disguise. And I know like there's so many, negative things we can say with what's going on right now. But if we really take time to realize like, hey, if we're taking time to go introspective and slow down a minute and garden, like you said, or spend time with our kids or our spouse or ourselves is what we're really running from, right? That's kind of the premises behind Finding the Fire is if you don't know what drives you, you're going to be running and trying to stay ahead of it the whole time. So this forced slowdown is like going to make you look at yourself and see where you're at and check in and be like, okay, am I good? Is there something I need to work on? Because I'll tell you right now, if you're being contained in your home and you're going absolutely crazy, then there's probably something inside that you should take a minute to look at, right?
Absolutely.
What are you feeling?
I'm going absolutely crazy. What to look at? I got a homeschool. I got 2 companies to run. Yeah.
Right.
Let's be real though.
But I did start my own
busy. And Cammie, you're doing amazing things. I know like last night, and I don't know how much I can share, so I'm not going to overstep, but I know last night you were out there doing amazing things for humanity as a whole, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much for doing that. We need people like you. But also, yeah, taking the time. Like if you can't do your everyday ordinary things, it's like, okay, what can I do inside to just like be calm with what's happening and not let the fear and the whatever's being told to us, how to think and how to believe, overtake our life. So what ways, go ahead, Sarah, what ways are you utilizing right now?
Sure. I think, again, one of the main things is just becoming comfortable with the fact that we're presented with an opportunity for evaluation right now. Until you're comfortable with that fact, right? This is where we're at, and this is what we're doing. You're going to have difficulty, right? Anything that we resist strengthens. So if we resist having to adapt our lives for a little while, it's going to become worse and the impact is going to be greater. So I think that's the first thing, is just absolute and total complete acceptance of this is where we are, not just as a state, not just as a nation, but the whole world is doing it, which makes you kind of really think about it, right? What is, and I'm going to go a little hippie on you for a second here, but what is the earth saying to us? What is the universe saying to us? What is necessary right now? And taking those periods of evaluation, looking at our own lives, looking at our work life, evaluating what's truly important to us, evaluating the little things, the feelings, the emotions, the sensations that are coming up as you're going through those. And so really, I guess I've just been riding it like a wave. I'm always out and about, super go-getter. And so there's days when I'm at home and my kids are fighting and I'm going nuts, right? And these feelings start to arise and I feel trapped and I'm questioning all these things that aren't even related to that. And allowing myself to feel those things fully, ride through it like a wave, not even like hyper evaluate them, but really just knowing this is the experience of a human having extreme emotion after going through what is an upheaval for everybody. And then just looking at what I need to, taking a walk, getting outside, like I said, gardening. Today, between work, I was out watching the horses just walk around. So just doing little things like that. And again, just recognizing it's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be concerned, just as long as you're not allowing it to consume your life.
Absolutely. Something you said there about riding the wave, like that really hits home with me. Something that, sorry, since we're readjusting right now, the garbage man's driving by as we're talking, so I'm gonna try and silence his noise. So give me a sec. Sorry. There we go. Hopefully that helps. Hey, this is real life right now.
This is real life right now.
We just roll with it, like you said, ride the wave, like whatever comes at us. But that's something, being a widow and losing a spouse, like that's something they teach you, losing a family member. And I'm just going to take this to like an extreme, right? Like right now we're staying home to protect each other because we don't want to put anybody in harm's way. We're trying to save our immunocompromised people or elderly, anybody else that's higher at risk. But riding the wave too, like the wave of finding the fire and what consumes you. And some people have had a major loss in their life, but that's something that they teach you. They're like, you know what? There's going to be waves. And sometimes you caught that wave and you're riding and it's good. And it feels great. And all of a sudden you go under. But you're coming back up on the other side. So just ride with it, flow with it. When it's good, feel, enjoy the breeze in your hair, enjoy the sunshine, like take that wave. And then when you go down, realize, oh, this bites for a minute, but I'm going to get back up, and maybe you're underwater for a minute and you are tumbling and you don't know what to do, but always look up and you're going to get through it. So I love that you said riding the wave with that.
We were talking in the beginning of this podcast about how when there's trials and tribulations and uncertainties, like how to get out of like a downward spiral, right? Mm-hmm. Like one thing we noticed is like going and helping others really feels good, right? Absolutely. Yeah. So good. And I'll just tell you this, like Miss Sarah here, she went with me to the Dominican Republic. She's one of the selfless people you'll ever meet. Like she got to hold babies and they were all about her. And I was going to share this on the radio show, but I'll share it now. Like we came, remember this, Sarah? We came on this spot in the road where this man had gotten he's a motorcyclist and he had gotten gotten, what's the word I want? Gotten hit by another vehicle. And his life expectancy, I can't imagine was good. But we were in a van full of humanitarian aid people, you know, and she was one of the first ones that jumped over the people, opened the door, and jumped out of the car in the middle of traffic. And this guy's body is like laying all over the ground. There's blood everywhere. And she was the first one there to help. And I don't think she thought for a second about her own safety. She just saw a line to, oh my goodness, someone needs help. So you're awesome.
You're amazing. Just the fact that you give people the opportunity to go and serve and connect. And that trip certainly changed my life forever. You know, I've done the paramedic thing, the 911 paramedic thing for many years. And there's a lot of excitement and the ups and downs that come with that. But everybody needs their platform to help and to serve, and you definitely do an amazing job of that, so thank you.
Thank you for coming with. It's so good. And you know, as we're going through all of this uncertainty with our lives and like everything's different and changing, and I just think if we just look for ways to serve, even though it doesn't feel like we have anything to give, it just makes me feel happier when I help others. How about you guys?
100%. Like,
Absolutely.
That's the platform I stand on is like, look at when everything is so dark in your world, like look outside. You know, we have a roof over our head. We have food in our bellies. We have toilet paper on the roll. You know, it could be so much worse. We could be living in one of these villages that you guys go and use, you guys go to help as and give humanitarian aid, and giving that example of Sarah jumping out and being selfless and everything is amazing. But imagine if we were them right now with the virus hitting, and they don't even know, probably because they don't have news telling them what to believe or what to think or how to feel. But still, if that virus rampaged their village and all of a sudden their people were dying and they had no idea, but here we are with all these blessings that we can count, but they're different than what we're used to, right? Our life has changed dramatically in the last month. We can all agree on that.
Though, they take out the news and all they have is CNN. So I get about 3 or 4 messages a day from different countries. Americans, you guys are bringing the corona. So I don't know what's going to happen if we're going to get to go anywhere, because
I wish they didn't have news. Like I saw this meme, you guys, and I loved it. I'm like, if we had a news fast for 30 days, like a news distancing instead of social distancing for 30 days, 80% of our world problems would be solved. And I believe that because I've seen so much false information out there everywhere. It's coming left, it's coming right, it's coming everywhere. But if we literally just shut down the news and shut down social media, then probably, you know, we would take care of ourselves. Like, I think people are pretty smart. If I'm sick and I have a fever and I'm coughing and I'm sneezing, I'm not going to go out there in society, especially to the elderly or the young or immunocompromised, and put them at risk. But right now, like, we're literally being told exactly what to do and everybody's complying, or then they're shaming each other for going out on a hike or doing something that we're told to stay in our house unless you have to get groceries. And I think I don't know, at some point, I really feel like people are going to be sick of that, you know, being sick of told what to do, because we have rights as humans. We have God-given rights. We have country-given rights. And eventually people are going to get tired of being told to stay home if they're not sick.
Well, Sarah was not listening beforehand. She was like, forget this jazz. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to parent how I want. So forget you people and all of your stuff, because we're fine.
Yeah, I definitely have an independent heart and spirit. You know, I think there is, however, in this one, there's that sense of collaboration too. I'm healthy, I'm well, I take great care of myself. I have a great immune system. And for me, so much of this process is just not buying into the fear of the media, not trying to chase down which story is right and which story is wrong, because you can find something to prove anything right now, right? But just that spirit of, you know, let's all collectively quiet down, take a deep breath together. And I think that doing your part to slow the spread of this, especially, and I should say, especially for the lives, but also for what our healthcare system can bear at once and what that might mean for others that are seeking medical care for things that aren't the coronavirus, right? Because that has an impact too, slowing down of hospitals for people who need it. So I look at this right now as a type of service too, even though it's not always fun, but what can we do to help keep other people safe?
I love that you said that, Sarah. I really do, because I'm a nurse. I worked at the hospital for 17 years. I really appreciate that people are taking time to check in and be like, is this truly an emergency? Do I need to run into the ER right now? Or is this something I can either work out on my own or find other means or other outlets like telemedicine? I think that's becoming a more popular thing right now, instead of overwhelming our healthcare system. And another big thing is like eating healthy. Like you said, you're healthy, you're a healthy individual. Like I know that you like to be outdoors in the sunshine, you take care of yourself, you eat healthy, you use good supplements. Those are all things that we can do, and we should have been doing all along. Like all of us should have been doing those all along. So right now, like, it's a really good time for us to check in and be like, what can I do differently in my life, instead of just relying on somebody to help me or fix me when I'm not taking care of myself, I'm not looking at anything outside of myself, and then suddenly I have a problem and now I need somebody to go find a solution, you know? So I love that you brought that up, and I love that people are really checking in and not overwhelming our healthcare system, because we definitely need them in place for, you know, the people that are really sick that need it right now. And I'm like I say, I worked here locally for 17 years, so I have a lot of medical friends. I have a lot of nurses, I have a lot of doctors and CNAs and all down the line, like down into the dietary at the hospital. So I hear their view of what's happening, and I know that it's really helping that people are not just running in for a cut on their finger or, you know, a little sneeze or something that's not beyond something they can handle at home. So thank you for bringing that up, for sure. Like, we definitely have to do our part. And we don't want to spread this. We want this to go away. We want to find a way that's a healthy alternative for everybody to get through this pandemic, as they're calling it. And it's not our first pandemic. And I'm going to share again if I didn't share before, but I will say during swine flu H1N1 2009, I was very much in the healthcare field at the time. Right now, I don't work at the hospital. I'm grateful for that, because I'm appreciative of being home with my family. But at that time, I was very much in it. And we trained for the apocalypse. We wore the garb. It was like Radiation City, like everybody's going to die back in 2009. And we were required to do a ton of extra education and training to make sure the community was safe. And we did that, and we were well prepared. And our community is very well prepared here in Southern Utah, and I'm appreciative of that, because they stay on top of things. And then it came and went, essentially. I mean, I know a few of us got hit. My daughter was 6 months old at the time, and she was the first one in my hospital that was diagnosed with H1N1. At that time, they were even calling it swine flu. They didn't have the H1N1 part of it. Like when we first heard of corona, it was corona, and now it's COVID-19. So when we were diagnosed, it was swine flu, you know. And then we were treated like lepers. We had to self-quarantine. We were home. We couldn't leave our house. People were dropping food off on the doorstep. But I'm like, you guys, we're fine. Like, my baby has a cold, and she's 6 months old, and she's nursing, and so it's hard for her. But the rest of our family was fine. But we could not leave our house, and I couldn't go back to work until they took antibodies from me to make sure I was now immune to it. I had no symptoms of it. They did not have a vaccine at the time. So they drew my blood, and they tested that I was antibody immune to H1N1. And so thankfully I was able to go back to work, and everything was fine. But so this whole pandemic coming through, I know, like, it's now a worldwide thing, and and you hear the news and everything else, but I'm like, okay, you guys, like, this isn't the first time it's come through. We should always be taking care of ourselves, not going out when we're sick, not sneezing on each other. Like, we're not naive. We're not, this isn't the first time that we've had something go through. So it just kind of, puts things into perspective for me. And of course, like I say, like I have a 93-year-old grandmother in a care center that I can't go visit right now, and she has dementia. And it makes me sad, and I want her protected. I want her safe. I'm glad they're keeping her safe. But at some point, like, we have to be realistic with what's going on as well, and be accountable for ourselves out there in the community, instead of being told what to do and dictated what to do, and then shaming other people if they're out at the park because they've been quarantined for 2+ weeks and they have no symptoms. Like, we need sunshine. We need to get out there, or we're going to go crazy, So anyway, sorry, I went off on a rampage there for a minute, but
no worries. Finding that balance is a very important part of it. And that's where I hope too, I will admit I've binge watched a little bit, which doing it consciously has been a little bit relaxing and I guess kind of rewarding, but also making sure that you're doing those activities that release endorphins, that help elevate the levels of GABA in your body. So these neurotransmitters that are balancing your stress response and your happiness, all these things, if your diet truly begins to suffer, if your stress and sleep truly begin to suffer, your immune system's compromised, if you're not getting that sun, if you're truly not taking care of yourself through this, you can find yourself in pretty big trouble. So I do hope people are finding that balance of respecting what's going on and not doing it in fear, and then also making sure they're really adding valuable things into their life to not only make this more enjoyable, but also to boost that immune system and make sure that they and their families get through it healthily.
So what do you think is the best way to boost your immune system?
Yes.
Oh, there's so many different ways to do it. Again, really looking at that stress response, looking at sleep. So you can do that in so many different ways. So meditation and yoga is amazing, not just for reducing stress, but like I said, release of endorphins, increasing GABA in the body, diet and nutrition. So almonds, sunflower seeds, spinach, blackberries, things like that. That will increase GABA. You can also supplement with GABA. I had a lot on my work plate today, so I went and took a product called GABA Calm that has GABA and L-theanine. So supporting yourself in your neurotransmitters, in your amino acids to make sure everything's level there. And then vitamins. I mean, and that is also included in eating too, right? But we know that vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, these things, this whole thing with the hydroxychloroquine being so big, one of the things that hydroxychloroquine does is it boosts the uptake of zinc in the body. So, it's amazing, and it's almost comical that we're being faced with a virus that what you have to do to protect yourself and boost your immune system is what we all should have been doing all along, right? Outdoor activities, yoga, meditations, things that decrease stress, watch our diet, add certain things in if you require supplementation, which most of us do, because the unfortunate fact is even if you're eating fruits and veggies, because of what we've done to our soil and food quality, you're probably not getting everything that you're needing out of it because the food just isn't the same as it used to be. And then most people also don't look at their gut health, right? And so the absorption is an issue too. So getting that support in knowing what your body needs, and then, just take good care of yourself, loving yourself.
Yes, I love it. I love all that. And we are going to actually have you back on again at 4 live on our radio show at 100.3 FM, correct? And you're bringing Dr. Kobe on, correct? Give us good advice and tips on all of this. We have about 45 seconds left. Is there any last parting, like, what are you doing as a mom or as a person that you want to share, like some positivity out there? We want to spread some good positivity.
Sure. I guess the number one thing that I can say that I feel would transform anybody's life is just practicing gratitude. Instead of looking at all the negatives of how things have changed and how things have been impacted. I mean, I was supposed to leave to Ireland and Italy on Saturday or Sunday, and it was like the best day. We literally had the best day. So practicing gratitude for what is and accepting what is, everything else will line out.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, Sarah.
You've been listening to Finding the Fire, where we are finding deeper connections through sharing our life experience. Being placed in foster care, losing a child to SIDS, and a husband to suicide, Cyndee has turned her story into the fuel that drives her. To be featured as a guest, go to findingthefire.com. Cyndee is a former NICU nurse, a foster parent, has started a nonprofit, helps others, and supports her family by selling real estate. To find out more, go to involvedcommunity.com.